Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. About to kick off the workday. Man, it is muggy out here. We hope this rain holds back so we can get some stuff done. Got to finish up a couple things on the inside and work on getting this transmission mounted. Pulled the tip off of this firewall access. We pushed the boost gauge vacuum line through it. And I cut one of the nipples off of the end. Now I'm going to push that back on there. Then back in here, we got the shifter in place, the cable in place. Ran that boost line under there into the passage right there. Zip tied that stuff up out of the way. We're ready to clean this dirt out of here and start putting this interior back together. Got this panel here that blocks coolant from the heater core area. It clips in there, punches in there. The older ones actually got a little tab that screws in up there. So that's in place. We can lay the carpet down. We're going to be installing a throttle body cable. It goes from your accelerator pedal up to your throttle body in these P80 cars. Some people do this when they're doing a manual swap. I don't really particularly think it's necessary. If you adjust the cable that you have, you should be fine. The main difference between this cable, this manual cable, and the auto cable is that the auto cable has the switch in it for the kick down. You don't need that when you got a manual. Also, this cable hits the throttle body a little bit different. Not a real big deal. Sometimes these cables are busted, so you want to replace them if they're busted, but if they're good, you can leave them alone. Anyway, if you need to replace this cable because it's busted or you're doing a manual swap, this is probably the easiest way to do this. This is the part number for the manual cable. I don't know the part number for the auto cable, but you could look that up on the Volvo site. I'll try to remember to put that part number in the description area. As you can see, this cable has this plastic on here. These are plastic clips that locks it in place. 3 of them are one size, then you got the 4th one is split. I don't know if that's for manufacturing purpose. They could pop that off and put another one on there or something other. Anyway, of course, if you got the auto cable, you want to install it so that your switch is kind of at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. This clip snaps into the firewall skin. So really, you can break the one that's in there, just rip it out. I would disconnect it from your accelerator pedal and just tear it out. And then take this one and push it in until you hear it snap into the firewall. Now, this piece here spins on the end of it, so there's no real position that you need to put this manual cable. And if you want to release the cable from the inside instead of just snapping it off, you could get a 15/16 socket. It might push those release tabs in enough to unlock it, but the best one would be this 7/8. This 7/8 socket fits over there just perfect, compresses those tabs in, and then you can just pull it right out without breaking the tabs on it. Imagine a 24 millimeter matches this. A 23 millimeter may go over that. So you need a 23 millimeter, 24 millimeter, 15/16, but preferably a 7/8. So 7/8 or 23 millimeter would be perfect. slide that in on from the inside and then come out here and just pull it right out. So let me demonstrate that. Come under the dash, and I prefer to take the accelerator pedal loose. If you look here on the accelerator pedal, it's got a little pin. You put a little screwdriver in there, you pry that out maybe a 1/2 inch, and then this accelerator pedal will pop out and it'll be in your hand. Then you can get the slack you need from up there where it is and pop that loose. Or you can just push it through there, pop it loose. Let me show you how that works. Your cable is looped around your throttle body here and stuck in this one of these 2 holes. You just simply grab the throttle body, open the throttle body up, pop the cable loose, unhook the cable from there, and let it drop. You also have a clip here. You pull this clip out of here, and that'll let the cable come totally loose from the throttle body assembly. Then there'll be slack in the inner part of the cable that will allow you to take it loose from the accelerator pedal. Your cable will be loose like this. Now you can go inside because you have all the slack from this part of the cable. Again, you can take the pedal loose if you want. If you don't take the pedal loose, since you have all the slack from the throttle body cable, you could pull the cable in here, push it in the back of here, and unclip it from this thing here. So now that's loose. You could push this cable up through the padding. Now with this pedal in the way, it's really hard to get the socket on there like I explained. So let me go ahead and remove the pedal and open up that foam a little bit and put that socket on there. We're going to try to remove this one without damaging the pins. So take a flat tip screwdriver, try to get it worked in there, and be careful you don't break this pin trying to work it out. See how it come out a little bit? That'll let the pedal down out of the way. So now I'm gonna cut that foam back a little bit so I get that socket up in there. I'm gonna cut it back with a knife. Maybe a few slices in the foam so I can get the socket in there. So I'm gonna slide the socket right over the cable, work it past that foam, and lock it in place. I have the socket pushed on it, I believe, all the way to the firewall. So I'm gonna go into the engine bay. I'm gonna unplug the kick down switch and then try to pull that cable out of the firewall. In here, looks like the switch is plugged in. It feels like it's already loose. All right, came out. Now let me unplug the switch and we'll see if we broke any of those tabs. It's out. You really got to make sure you got that socket pushed all the way in. One of the tabs broke, so you have that. Also, this was a little loose from at the firewall already, so this may have already been broken at the firewall, but this one is broken. Sometimes I see them flopping around at the firewall because somebody's leaned on it or did something to it. Anyway, it's out. Like I said, you could just grab it and jerk it through to break these tabs off to pull it out, or you could use the socket trick if you want to try to preserve it. Come back on the inside and pull that socket down out of the way so that you can push the next cable through. Now the socket's out of the way. Come back out here. Take your new cable, push it in that hole at the firewall until you hear it click in. It'll just snap in that metal. As you're pushing it in, you should hear it click. You may hear a few clicks, and if you got a manual car, you do not need that plugged in. You could plug a blank in it or something, or just leave it like this. It just clicked in place, that easy. I took a long extension not sharp end, pushed on each quadrant of the cable just to make sure it was popped in. And I did hear a couple more clicks, so it's a good idea to go around it unless you hear all the clicks. Now we go inside. We can push this cable in here so that we can go inside and hook it up to the accelerator pedal. You can massage your phone back in place, hook your pedal back up, run the cable through the top hole of your accelerator, and then put that white clip back on it so that it locks it in place. I got a call before about this accelerator pedal. It has this kind of return spring thing that goes like that, hooks under there like that. So you want to make sure that's in place. Hook in the passenger side. It's got a little tab, or hook that side in and then push this side down and then push the pin in to lock it in place. When you pedal in, it's like that. That's like that. It's got a little bit of springy action to it. Not much, just a little bit. And if you got an auto, your shift lock cable will be routed under these two tabs here and up there and under your carpet. Look at Manny and his features. Got this old 94 armrest so the people in the back can have cup holders. I just measured the thickness of this piece here that goes inside the fork. From inside here to here is 3.55 millimeters. I measured the screw, zeroed it out, then set the screw in here, and then measured the thickness with the screw, and it's 3.55. So if you make something, you want to make sure it's 3.55 thick. If you're going to try to make something, if you don't have one of those, I'm going to order some of those. I found a supplier for them. But anyway, you want to drill a small pilot hole in there, fill this up with epoxy, and then drill the center of it out until your epoxy is 3.55. And if you drilled a little pilot hole in there, that epoxy will be through the pilot hole, and that will make it or help it stay in place. So I'll demonstrate that one day. I also need to measure the thickness of this fork, see if it's the same thickness there. The recess area in here, the thickness of the tip of this metal from inside there is 3.15 millimeters. I measured the thickness of the tip of the fork to the inside of that recess in there, and it is 7.45 millimeters, or 7.48. So if you make something at least that thick, you should be okay. I took the back engine mount off of the car. It was attached to the steering rack, and put it on here. I thought this was kind of like a heat shield bracket to these things, but this engine mount looked like it is getting cooked, burned up. Let me take this back off and show you what I'm talking about. I don't know about you, but to me that looks like heat damage. Looks like the cable's getting cooked, the back of the mount's getting cooked. We need to figure this out. I think some of these cars had a little extra metal thin heat shield on the back of these, but this one's definitely about done. I'm gonna have to replace it again. We got the rear mount bracket on. Couldn't find these seals on my supply list. I tried to put the part number for these seals and ended up putting a part number for that input shaft seal. So I got to fix that on my supply list. We got the new throw out bearing on. We got the clutch fork clip in, clutch fork in place, the boot in place. The boot just won't sit just right and close all the gap. It's kind of like it's stretched out of shape or something. Been trying to get that to sit in right. Haven't quite been able to, but that's okay. I don't think there's any danger in that not sitting just right. Maybe somebody didn't have it in the past properly and it stretched it out of shape or damaged it somehow. But we're going to go ahead and mount the transmission. Got the transmission hung, got the bolt in the back of the engine mount, and it's raining pretty good, so we're going to take a break. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.